if I don't feel like shopping, I always say the same thing to my wife. It's the story of when Umar ibn Khattab was in the market. So one of the companions there, he said, what are you getting? He said, I desired meat, so I came to buy it. And so he
Allah
said,
Akbar.
وَكُلَّمَا اشْتَهَيْتَ اشْتَرَيْتَ. Every time you desire something, you just go out and buy it. He's not saying it's haram or rude or bad or anything. He's just saying you don't always just follow your desire like that, you know? And so anytime I don't want to shop or go get something, I was like, I want ice cream. Like, وَكُلَّمَا اشْتَهَيْتَ اشْتَرَيْتَ. I mean, I'm talking about animals being gay, you know? Like, never in the Serengeti did a lion see another lion and say, "Rawr." Yeah.
But even
But
if it did, right? The whole
thank
point
you very
is
much.
I would say don't even use that word homosexuality or sexuality or gay or even straight, yeah, because these are
You're
loaded with
acknowledging,
they're
yeah.
loaded with made up kind of ideological constructs that aren't from our own tradition.
So we become desensitized to it, you know? Someone tells you a joke about zina, this like
Mm,
third biggest sin in Islam. You're just like, ha ha. It's not funny, you know?
yeah.
And you know, the scholars say about zina is that it is a sin that takes away adamiyat al-adami. It takes
Oh,
away the
subhanallah.
human side of the human being, and you become like an animal.
And this normalization of zina, of other types of relationships and so forth. The real issue is you've just turned those material impulses, which for majority of the world used to be a virtue to resist. You've turned that into the king.
Like one of the shuyukh was telling me, he was dealing with a divorce case, and the wife is trying to get over $500,000 from her husband. And she was telling him, it's my right. And he was telling her, you don't have the right, really, to take this man's money like that. You don't.
It's by right.
And
No, it's not. Sorry.
a lot of your audience will probably not be familiar with, because he's in Egyptian, he's in Arabic, he's hilarious. And he's so funny. And you got these isolated clips from him. People are just passing around on WhatsApp and whatever. So one time this lady calls him up. He's got a live show on TV. And she said, yeah, Sheikh, I'm divorced from my husband. Can I use the child as a weapon against him? And he just very quickly and seriously looks at the camera. He says, if you do that, you will enter the hellfire and you will sit on the lap of Abu Jahl.
It's fun. Assalamu alaikum everyone, and welcome to today's podcast. We've got a really good one for you today. We finally caught up with Sheikh Kamal El Mekki after ages. We had a really nice conversation. We spoke about how the UK Muzlamic scene is so much better than the USA one, how I'm better at basketball than him, and a few other things like his upcoming course on Tafsir Surah An-Nur. Anyways, a cracking podcast. Can't wait for you to have a listen. Just before we begin, just a quick reminder, if you're interested in this kind of stuff, give it a like, give it a share, hit the subscribe button and the bell notification as well, so you get notified of future releases. Also, get involved in the conversation in the comments. We always like to see brothers and sisters agreeing, disagreeing, and discussing things in the comments below. And also, thirdly, if you like this kind of stuff, you want to see it continue, please do consider subscribing and donating £5 a month. You can click the link in the description below. It will really help take the podcast to the next level, inshallah. And without further ado, here's Sheikh Kamal El Mekki. So how have you been?
Alhamdulillah, 100%. Very good, alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah. I mean, Amara Shukri, he reached out to us saying, we got an opportunity to have Sheikh Kamal El Mekki on again. And I was like, oh man. I was like, yay. He goes, yeah, it's good. You guys have good banter and stuff. And I was like, yeah, good banter. What's the topic of his talk, his course he's doing? He's like, zina. I was like,
very good banter. Great banter.
I was like, all of my jokes on that topic are not suitable for this audience. But however, what's this thing about that you're preparing? I think it's a what's it called? Online course, AlMaghrib.
Yeah. So this is the online launch of Confidential. Confidential is basically the tafsir of Surah An-Nur.
Nice.
And except for one city, we usually cover the entire surah, the tafsir of every single verse, just about. But so now it's on. It was recorded. I think we recorded during COVID or something. And now it's just online, and I believe it's a very important course. If you live in the West, you, I mean, if I say you need to take this course, like any course is like you need to take this course. It's like a course about trees. You need to take this course, but but this one is where the subject matter is all around us. Meaning, you watch a sitcom, the central theme is, oh, two people committed zina, they're hiding it from the rest of their friends group. You know, you watching a movie, the central theme is about zina. You're reading a novel, or I don't know why you would read it, but not romance novel, and it's all about zina. You know, and then someone tells
research.
you a joke, huh?
For research purposes.
For research, yes, of course.
For science.
The minute I saw the cover, like, I must research this topic. So we become desensitized to it. You know, someone tells you a joke about zina, this like third biggest sin in Islam. You're just like, ha. It's not funny, you know.
Yeah.
And this is, let me introduce Gaza here, okay? There's a reason. I'm not trying to look like a Bond villain, but this is Gaza, okay?
MashaAllah.
She's a very, very sweet cat. I have 3 kittens now. This is the only one that will just, the minute you hold it, it starts to fall asleep, you know?
MashaAllah.
So super, super cute. Look at that.
MashaAllah. So you're trying to master a new kind of domain in life now. So you've done the sheikh gig, you've done the stand-up comedy, and now you're looking for the old viral cat video sensation. All you need is a cucumber, I think. I saw some videos of cats kind of reacting in a petrified way to cucumbers for some reason.
Yes, those videos are hilarious. Yeah. Cats getting scared, like that's the only reason you get a cat, is to scare it. There's no other reason.
Sounds a bit haram though. Sounds a bit mean though, isn't it? Islam Trinity does not condone any cruelty to cats or other higher mammals.
Not even dogs?
Dogs are okay.
You do like dogs?
I like the cute ones and the clever ones.
Let me tell you something. Well, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I don't know. I grew up with 6 dogs, okay? I mean, not at the same time. But I had...
that explains a lot. It's in Jungle Book.
In Pakistan, I had an English setter in Pakistan. And hunting dogs, you know, English setters, it's a hunting dog. I mean, that's the first and last time I owned anything with the word English on it. But it's an English setter and a hunting dog. Very, very smart, intelligent dog. Then I had like 5 German Shepherds after that, you know? But the weird thing is, like, I cannot stand dogs now. I don't like anything about them. The way they wag their tail, I cannot stand them. Of course, their smell is just unbearable. And I believe it's very unnatural to have a dog as a pet. Dogs were never pets. So people don't know about the history of dogs. They were never pets. They were working animals. And the whole thing about breeds, if there's anything incredible about dogs, is that you could take this dog and make it for a specific job, whether it's herding or hunting or guarding or fighting or ratting, like just to catch rats, like these terriers. And the breed becomes just made for that. Like rat terriers are completely ready for that. Even if you can train them in an instant. So they're actually a working animal. And then what happens, you know, industrial revolution, blah, blah, blah. And people didn't
what do we do with all these dogs?
They didn't need dogs anymore. So they started bringing them inside the house, putting them in the bed, sleeping with them, calling them their children. And it's really just as a result of, you know, modernization and money, that now a working animal became just a member of the family, as they say.
When you said I grew up with 6 dogs, I thought you meant like close friends that you run with. I'm like, but I've never actually owned a dog. It's just, but it's just, you know, they look kind of cute when they.
I have a couple of those dogs too.
Dogs.
Yeah, absolutely.
How is DMX? Yeah. Has he converted to Islam yet?
He died.
Really? DMX died.
I'm not laughing that he died. I'm laughing that he died like 2 or 3 months ago.
Oh my God.
From some, I forgot what it was, some kind of heart thing or whatever. And I mean, there was some people very moved by his death. They were telling me what a huge loss it is, and
To the
maybe
Ummah.
he did things that I'm not aware of. Okay, but what I am aware of is just a guy who raps and wears gold and acts like a thug and stuff. I'm like, yeah, huge loss for the world. Where are you going to find a thug to replace him? So,
Talk is cheap, brothers and sisters.
look, it's weird. Like these were Muslims who were like very moved by his death, and like it's a huge loss, and I was hurt for a couple of days. Oh, okay, we're I guess
I'm not
this
gonna
is
lie,
life. We're really
I
into
am
this.
kind of hurt as well.
You're sad now. We're gonna cancel
Yeah.
the podcast so you can mourn.
I need to grieve
DMX.
properly. What are you
Man.
doing? No, go to mom. I'm in the middle of a really busy and really important guest.
That's your engineer.
That's my son, Zaku. Okay. I told him I got a really important podcast today, and they were like, "Who is it?" Kamal El Mekki. Oh, it's okay then. I'll come in and disturb you.
I'll come in and disturb you. Can I get a refill? Diaper?
Mashallah. So this course, then you're saying that the issue is a lot of people in our society today, they belittle and become desensitized to zina.
Absolutely, it's no big deal anymore, or maybe just people forget how serious it is. You forget that. So the reason I had that cap at the beginning was so I think 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, we got these 2 kittens. They were siblings, all right, brother and sister. Actually, we got 3. And the third one just started pooping everywhere. So we put an ad and we dumped him on another unsuspecting family. All right. But the other 2, they grew up in the house and everything. One is named Medina. Okay. And Medina is the woman, obviously, the girl. And then Medina went into heat. And for 24/7, all we're trying to do is just push the male away. And I'm like, that's your sister. And this is the result. 3 kittens now. The one that I had was Gaza. All right. And so what does that have to do with the topic? The scholars say about zina is that it is a sin that takes away adamiyat al-adami. It takes away the human side of the human being. And you become like an animal. Like these 2 kittens, they're brother and sister. They have they were born together. They always lived together. But then it's just, they're animals. And when human beings commit zina, they say they become worse than animals because animals in some ways are actually better than humans at zina. In this case, they're worse because they have no idea, it's a sister, no idea. But for example, when we even searched this, that there is, with a dispute of one animal, there's difference of opinion, but there's not a single animal in the world where the female is pregnant and she accepts males to mate with her, ever. Actually, most animals will viciously fight off a male. If the female is pregnant, any male approaches her, he's in trouble. I mean, from mice to rats, for God's sake.
Wow.
No animal accepts that. But a human, female can be pregnant, no problem. So that's why it takes away the human side of the human being. And it is rampant, of course, in our communities and everything. And sometimes someone will come to my office and just very casually tell me, I shouldn't have done this, and committed zina. Like, you mean I shouldn't have done this? What do you mean you shouldn't have done it? Like, if you murdered someone, which is the number 2 sin, would you come and be like, I shouldn't have done it, but I'll bust a cap in him?
I bet you do get a few of those.
Yeah, I was with my dogs and we busted a cap in this guy.
In this cat.
So, yeah. So, I mean, it's a serious topic. I usually like to have fun with you, So I could tell you some jokes. No, I'm just kidding. I always tell people, just don't even tell zina jokes,
Yeah.
I like the hadith of, man ra'a minkum munkaran, whoever you see is, a munkar, a reprehensible act, then he should change it with his hands, if not, then with his tongue. But we're focusing on the end of the hadith here. If not, then change it with his heart, which means what? That you also don't accept it, that in your heart, you resist this and you hate the sin, you dislike the sin. And that is, وَذَلِكَ أَضْعَفُ الْإِيمَانِ. That's the weakest of iman. So, okay, the weakest of iman is for me to hate a sin. How do I define laughing at the sin? Like, what do I call that? I mean, this is a hypothetical question. I'm not saying you have no iman or you're a, but how do I like? I'm supposed to hate a sin with my heart, and now, and that's the I love this hadith. Wallah, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is brilliant. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Because if he didn't have this addition, then people would, if they can't change it with their hand or tongue, they would accept it in their heart. And there's so many sins now. Okay, there's so many sins now. Should I give clues? But I think we know what I'm talking about. That you can't open your mouth about. You put a post about it, it'll get deleted. And now Muslims, if you open your mouth about it, they'll report you. Okay, but at least nobody can come in here and make me not hate it. At least for me, I will deny that sin in my heart. And I can't open my mouth. I can't move my hands. Nobody can come in here. But what happens when you don't even hate it here? That's a big deal.
Assalamualaikum guys, sorry to butt in. But if you like what you see so far, give it a like. Let us know in the comments below. If you disagree with something, just let us know in the comments below as well. And look forward to having an argument with you in the comments. And that's part of the broader cultural kind of imposition of certain values, certain Western way of life, and white Western kind of cultural norms and stuff that are just being kind of blasted throughout the world. I mean, nobody's safe really. I mean, I remember when I was in Morocco for a holiday, I was just browsing the TV in the living room, and I saw like a channel, like for free, a free channel, just playing the latest Hollywood blockbuster movies that weren't even out here yet.
Yes. Wow.
In AlMaghrib, and I was like looking, I was like, these films aren't even out yet. I mean, you know, researched Google and stuff, but they're just playing them back after, you know, back-to-back movies, just blasting these out there. And I went to a sheikh who has some connection with the country, and I said, I bet your young people, the teenagers and early 20s and stuff in particular, I bet they're having some kind of crisis as well of their identity and their values and their cultural norms and stuff. And he goes, yeah, this is a huge part of it. Just kind of that soft power, you know. It's done by NGOs, it's done by different organizations, but the cultural kind of production is very heavy on that as well. There's a really good book by Joseph Massad called Islam and Liberalism, right? He talks about a few kind of pushes on from an imperialist perspective, of kind of soft imperialism. He talks about women's rights, talks about LGBT, and he talks about democracy, despotism, kind of dichotomy. And he highlights so many subtle kind of things from NGOs to charities to kind of these cultural, you know, just kind of ways to basically push a view of you know, Islam being something in need of, you know, enlightening with these kind of white Western values and norms and stuff. And part of that is just how the notion of marriage and family and stuff, you know, and you kind of alluded to the LGBT stuff, because you're scared to say it yourself, but I'm not scared.
And it was clear that I was going to say that I didn't even hint to the group, and everyone immediately understands which group you can't talk about. I have this joke where I say, you know, there are those who rent and there are those who are homeowners, right? Like, that's all we can do now. So, but you know, I actually realized this. I was in Sudan like something like 10 years ago, and then I had an American friend in Sudan, and then he just brought it to my attention. He says, in America, is there any channel that shows the latest movies for free? And I was like, you know what, you're right, there isn't. And they're like, there are 2 channels here, back to back, 24/7, just the latest movies, and it's for free. And of course, one of the biggest exports of the US is really pop culture. And what's interesting is that we even saw the difference. We saw what happened. Like in Sudan, it changed how young people, like how they evaluate beauty and stuff like that. It changed because, you know, like most Arabs, the overweight woman was the most beautiful woman. And until recently in Sudan, You know, this guy was telling me that math class was a fitna for him because the math teacher was extremely overweight and she was gorgeous and all that stuff. And the way what he was describing, I'm not going to describe it on the
Yeah.
show. He wasn't very graphic, but it's basically he was describing a walrus, basically, and he was just, and he's telling me how gorgeous and stuff. Now, after these movies, now in Sudan, they look for the skinny, malnourished girl because that's the standard of beauty, and it changed. So yeah, you're right.
I mean, even in the Indian subcontinent, the number one or something selling beauty product is Fair and Lovely, you know, skin whitening cream, which does God knows what else. And like, you know,
and it creates problems.
And you got the big like Bollywood stars selling it and stuff, and on the advertisements.
I saw this documentary on skin bleaching in Jamaica and the problem with it, you know. And it says in Sudan and everywhere, and there would be like super, super dark-skinned black girls, but they've been bleaching their face, only the face, for years. But they look like an eggplant. They're purple. And
wow.
And now and the guys don't fall for it. So the guys are like, yeah, I saw her face, and the guy will be like, did you see her hands though? Because they know. Yeah. And in this documentary in Jamaica, the whole documentary, they were just showing you know, like women in the street, and they're like, me bleach.
SubhanAllah. But it's the same kind of, it's the same. I see that the imposition of certain values with regards to, you know, what's normal for a relationship on the same continuum as what's beautiful in a person, right? Or what's you know, appropriate behavior and inappropriate behavior. One of the rants that you did in the Amazing Rant Man series was about, even forget what if something's halal or haram for 1 second. Is it appropriate? Is it min what did you say, khawarim al muru'a, for example? Yeah, is it something appropriate and inappropriate? And it doesn't have to be that what's appropriate and inappropriate from one culture has to be the same for another. But whilst you're in that milieu, you have some customs and stuff that you know, you don't want to go outside of, like you mentioned, you know, chewing gum on the mimbar, for example. That's not appropriate, but doing it, you know, just walking around might be okay. But what's normal and abnormal, what's appropriate and inappropriate, it's being kind of concretized according to the white Western experience, and then kind of imposed on the rest of the world, either via the soft kind of power with Hollywood and that kind of stuff being shown, or actual NGOs and US aid and foreign policy decisions and that kind of stuff. And I think the whole thing about relationships, kind of man, woman, and same-sex relationships, that is all part and parcel of that thing. So it's essentially, the way it's seen, and I think Muslims maybe do some damage and some du'at as well. We need to put our finger exactly on what we disagree with, right? Because it's presented in a whole broad discourse, right, of human beings are individuated across these discrete, rigid categories that are deterministic, that never change, that are, you know, just like eye color, hair color. There's something called sexual orientation, and if you accept that premise, then you only can be one of two people in this, or two characters in this discourse. You can either be the enlightened ally, who's nice and, you know, not racist and not bigoted, or you could be the zealous or the bigoted, homophobic kind of guy who's just in need of a bit of enlightening. That is the kind of narrative that's there. But what we need to do is challenge the assumption in the first place, that this whole belief that human beings are in these discrete categories, and this thing called sexuality, which only didn't exist before the 19th century, by the way. This is a unique cultural product of Christianity, Christian confessional tradition, of the Victorian kind of piety in England, of so many historical things that are unique to one set of people, but they're just kind of blasted across the world and imposed on everyone else. We don't have. That's why I say to du'at, even you should never even use a language of heterosexuality, homosexuality, all this kind of stuff, because this is these are ideologically kind of formed things. Once you start to enter it, you're fighting with one hand behind your back, basically. And what we should do, in my opinion, is just get people to realize that this is your belief, right? These are your values and cultural kind of norms and stuff, but we have different ones. We don't believe that human beings have this magical thing that determines them into one particular type of behavior or whatever. We believe that human beings have, and that, I think that is the key here, and it's linked to zina as well, because you said something really deep. You said, maybe by accident, but you said something. You said,
good one.
Zina actually takes away the humanity out of our kind of physical being.
Yeah.
The human being, the thing which just one of the things which differentiates us from the animals is we have that spark or something inside us, some kind of ability to control the material impulses. You know, you can determine or predict human behavior to an extent, right? You turn the heating up, someone's going to sweat or get a bit annoyed. You turn it down, they're going to shiver and they're going to be more inclined to get a blanket or something. But there's something beyond that, beyond the physical impulses, the material impulses that I think every wisdom tradition recognizes, whether it's kind of spooky, superstitious people or the spiritual kind of hippie type people, or even Christians and Jews and that kind of stuff. But there's something within us that regards resisting that as a virtue. That there's something in a human being that if you refuse to be governed by your material impulses, that power inside you, whatever you want to call it, it becomes stronger, and the will to carry out difficult things for a delayed kind of reward and that kind of stuff. And this normalization of zina, of other types of relationships and so forth, the real issue is you've just turned those material impulses, which for majority of the world used to be a virtue to resist, you've turned that into the king, and you've inflated that thing inside you, which says, when you're hungry, go and eat. When you're thirsty, go and drink something. When you're, the other thing, you go and.
You're bringing up one of my favorite quotes like this. Something I always, if I don't feel like shopping, I always say the same thing to my wife. It's the story of when Umar ibn Khattab was in the market. So one of the companions there, he said, what are you getting? He said, I desired meat, so I came to buy it. And so he said, every time you desire something, you just go out and buy it. And he's not saying it's haram or rude or bad or anything. He's just saying you don't always just follow your desire like that. And so anytime I don't want to shop or go get something, I was like, I want ice cream. Like, and
then you're on Amazon buying like a new
getting some motorcycle,
new PS5.
But I'll tell you something interesting. I don't, I still remember my classes like they were yesterday. Like when I can tell you a math class from second grade or a biology class from third grade. I remember these things very well, bro. I remember it was third grade, and the teacher was saying that, first of all, they were teaching us in biology that human beings are animals, right? I don't know what they teach today because it changes all the time, but they were teaching us that human beings are an animal. They're just like the other animals, but this is one that speaks and smart and all that stuff. And of course, in Islam, we don't have that. We have the creation of the human being, and we have animals mentioned. And it's not like we're from this group. But I remember very well our teacher saying the difference between us and animals is the opposable thumb. Of course, this is, and I remember saying, I was in third grade thinking, so you tell me the difference between me and a zebra is this? Yeah. Oh, yeah. So it's kind of evolution is really because one day, because of the opposable thumb, whatever we used to be, we were able to pick up a stick and use a tool. And because of that, we advanced and progressed and what have you. But realistically, is it really just a difference with the opposable thumb? I mean, chimps and apes and whatever, they've got that, they can grab things. But the issue is that really it comes down to what you were saying, self-control. How are you a human and not an animals are hungry, they eat. You know, they need to poop, they just turn around and just let it rip. But for humans, it's about self-control. And that's really what, and then the morality and all these other, the values that you're referring to tell me that we're just like the animals. But listen, one of the things that they use is, and I've heard this argument obviously many times, but even heard some du'at use it, that, there's homosexuality in animals as well. I mean, until today, I am personally not convinced that I mean, I'm talking about animals being gay, you know? Like, never in the Serengeti did a lion see another lion and say, rawr.
But even if it did, right? The whole
thank
point
you very
is
much.
even I would say, don't even use that word homosexuality or sexuality or gay or even straight, yeah, because these are loaded with they're loaded with made up kind of ideological constructs that that aren't from our own tradition. Assalamu alaikum, guys, me again. Just a quick reminder, if you do want to support this podcast, please head over to the link on the screen right now to donate as little as £5 a month to help keep it going. Right? It's like, and that's why, by the way, what I'm saying, this is like common knowledge amongst even kind of advocates of, from one angle, LGBT kind of rights and that kind of stuff, because that's why they use the word queer, right? Queer is to recognize that these categories don't actually even exist, right? And there's a lot of dispute among people in the field. I mean, the established kind of a truth in queer theory that sexuality doesn't exist. It's a product of culture. It's a product of it's a social construct. It's like trying to differentiate the difference between a $5 bill and a $10 bill by putting it under a microscope and seeing, you know, what makes one less valuable.
Exactly.
It's just it's a norm that people have. So sexuality doesn't just not exist in animals. It didn't even exist in humans before the 19th century, right? One of the historians, he put it really succinctly. He said, during, I think in the 1800s, at some point, he said, what was once a temporary aberration became a species when the sodomite was referred to as a homosexual. So what was once in terms of, and he himself is, you know, was engaged in same-sex relationship and stuff like that. So it's not an issue of some kind of, you know, bigotry or tribalism here, the one group against the other. No. He's just stating a matter of fact that the discourse was that at no time in human history were your actions, sexual or otherwise, kind of deemed a sign of some kind of magical quality inside you that is just waiting to escape, right? That this is part of your identity and that kind of stuff. So that was turned to, and is now turned into political identity, whereas before it was just, and as Muslims regard it, it's just an issue of hawa and different desires and human beings change that all the time.
Absolutely. And by the way, my point was just a simple point, going back to the whole humans versus animals thing. It was like, suppose you were to show me that in the animal kingdom, and suppose we could confirm 1 million queer zebras, all right, or whatever, gay zebras. What does that have to do with me? Since when do we take animals as role models? Since when does a human say, oh, it happens in the animal kingdom, that means it's okay, or that means it's not? Since when does that? But that's what I'm saying. This whole thing of seeing us as just an animal that we could just, if they do it, we can do it. But anyways, look at my cat's example.
The black widow kind of lays eggs in the husband, or eats and kills or something after copulation.
The seahorse carries the male carries. I don't care what the male seahorse does.
That is kind of cute though.
Seahorse. Huh?
That is kind of cute though.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, we used to sell seahorses, to grab them like this. So, but something like I was saying, the course, I really, okay. So the great things about what we do in the class, first of all, we really kind of cover material that you don't usually run into as a typical student of knowledge taking classes and courses and lectures. One of my favorite parts is like we kind of go into a Muslim courtroom and see the philosophy under which the judge operates. People think that the Sharia is like it's like in the Muslim state there's a blood quota that needs to be reached every month. So like what's happening? We're gonna chop anything off today?
Like they've seen like Aladdin.
Like hey?
Like Aladdin.
Oh, exactly. Like Aladdin. Those clips are unbelievable. Like my kids watched it during quarantine, and I was like, this is unbelievable. Like where she takes the apple or whatever.
Yeah, and he's like, aha.
And it's like the vendor himself was just gonna chop her. Like no judge, nothing. And part of that is that even for Muslims, like we didn't live in a Muslim state, so we don't really know what it looks like. So we imagine because of Hollywood that it's like the Wild West, but instead of guns, they have swords. You don't like someone, just call them outside. You duel it out. Someone steals, just pull your sword out. Really, how would there be law and order if everyone just chop and say, "Oh, well, I caught him stealing"? No judge, no witnesses, nothing. But so like that, when you see the philosophy under which the judge operates, you see that with certain crimes, the judge, his job is to act as your lawyer. His job is to find some kind of doubt so he can push away the punishment. So you don't need to get a lawyer. You don't need to defend yourself. The judge will tell you, "Oh, just go home and repent. Oh, we don't want your blood. Why don't you go home and make tawbah?" Or he will say, "Well, there's this issue of doubt, so I'm throwing the whole case out." So it's really powerful. And it gives people a sense of how merciful the Sharia is. And we even talk about what is the Sharia as far as, it's poor marketing. I always say in the beginning of the class.
Bad PR.
Huh?
Bad PR.
Very bad PR. The word. I see this in the class and in the promo. I think that there was a president, and he said on national television, "We're going to bring the Sharia and we're going to cut off hands. We're going to cut off feet." I'm like, have you ever heard a president selling democracy like that?
Yeah.
Like I can't do well. I don't know Biden much, but Obama never came to a country and said, "We're going to bring democracy. We're going to put people in the gas chamber, electric chair." It never happened. But we just sell it in the worst way possible. But
you remind me of this. Sheikh Haytham, he mentioned like when he used to go to Saudi, he used to just shadow some judges and look at some cases, and he told us of the time where somebody almost got stoned to death. Right? He said like it never happens, like, but one time they got close, and the judge was like, I think it was a Filipino man, and another woman who wasn't a Saudi. They were like, he goes, "Okay, so you commit zina," and the guy was like, "Yeah, I did." And he was like,
wow.
"Okay," he didn't know. He was just telling the truth. And he goes to the woman. He goes, "Did you do this?" And she was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Okay." Like, what are we supposed to do now? Then he goes, "Are you married?" And they both were like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, we have to adjourn for Salah, and then we'll come back afterwards." After Salah, and then he's like whispering to his aides and that kind of stuff, and he's sending people there to talk to them and that kind of stuff. After Salah, they come back. He asked them again, "Did you commit zina?" And they said no. And he goes, "Okay, case closed. Let's."
Wow. Yeah, that's
So
what it's like.
nobody really looks at, and it's important though not to publicize this stuff. And this is the norm, but
Yes.
as the Prophet ﷺ himself said that "Udra'ul hudud bishubuhat," or bishubha.
Absolutely.
Try to repel or avoid the punishment if there's any excuse, any doubt. It's an important book called Doubt in Islamic Law. I forgot the author's name. It's a woman. Dr. Asim Qureshi, he did a review on it on Soundcloud. Check it out. But it's such a better system than to have one thing kind of codified and just blasted on everyone in every kind of situation, not looking at the consequences, not looking at the any mitigating circumstances and stuff. Like we say in the UK, to someone who's overly rigid in implementing some rule or something, we just say like, "Oh, computer says no." Right.
Exactly.
As in, like, no, I have to give you this ticket because one wheel was outside the thing. Why? I'm here though.
Right.
Or because that's the rule. But I'm here, like,
Yeah.
literally writing the tickets, delaying me moving the car. But computer says no.
Yeah. Exactly.
And
But obviously, by the way, we don't spend the whole class on that because really it deals with zina until about verse 10, and then it deals with defending people's honor, deals with defending Aisha radiallahu anha, which the rules that apply to her apply to everyone else, and then it talks about the etiquettes of visitation. So we cover a whole bunch of things, and then you know how tafsir is. Sometimes it's linguistic, sometimes it's fiqh based, sometimes it's aqidah based, and I made sure that we've got a mix of all. Some people think tafsir is just linguistic oohs and ahs, oh, here Allah used this word, like, oh, but sometimes it gets history, sometimes it's seerah, sometimes there's aqidah in it, and I can fairly say we've got a blend of all these. We've got the grammatical stuff, we've got the
oohs and ahs.
So, yeah, absolutely, we've got a bunch of those, and one of the things I remember, I was like probably 17 or 18, and I took the masjid behind our house was doing a whole series on the tafsir of Surah An-Nur, and since then I just loved it, and I loved all the etiquettes, the rules of visitation, which, by the way, the rules of using your cell phone are derived from that. And I always tell people, like, so many of these rules, like, for example, lowering the gaze when you enter someone's home. Some people come into your home and they're just taking mental pictures of everything, right? They'll see the vase and like, oh, I see that. Asda sells it for $9.99. I know someone who was invited for dinner at someone's home, and they said, "You want to go wash your hands?" He went into the bathroom. He's washing his hands on the sink, and then he moved the shower curtain, to see if they cleaned the tub or not. And when the tub was dirty, he goes sweeping under the carpet. Like, are you the inspector? Lowering your gaze in people's homes, but it applies to when someone opens the trunk of their car. What would happen now, Dr. Salman, if 4 guys are standing and then one guy opens the trunk of his car? The other 3 are all going to go like this.
I'd be like, who's that guy tied up in there?
What's the banging noise in your... or if your phone rings, let's say you don't have a cover, your phone rings, you tell your friend, can you hand me my phone? They don't do this. They do this. Who's Jessica? Allah. Why are you looking at my phone? Or when you open your wallet. I remember one time I met a guy at the airport. It was one of the brothers. And I opened my bag and he just goes like this to look inside the bag. Or you open your wallet, everyone goes like this to look inside.
Or was he the security guard?
And I wish. Then at least he would have a reason to. But it's these great etiquettes that are just kind of lost. How many times can I call you on my phone before? It's the equivalent
3, right?
of knocking on your door 3 times, right? Not 3 rings though, but let's just make it 3 calls at this point. I know a guy who called someone 54 times in a row, and he was telling me I called him 54. He's like proud of it, And in the end, when the guy wouldn't answer, he called his wife, and this guy's Sudani, right? But he spoke to her in Urdu because he lived in Pakistan. He speaks excellent Urdu. So he's like, emergency, hey, emergency. And it's like, Karachi. He's like, I'm calling from Karachi. Then she gives the phone to her. He's like, Assalamu alaikum. She handed the phone to her husband. Got you. So these I love these kind of niceties, let's call them, that are lost now. These little manners and mannerisms here and there. So the rules of visitation, but the rules of visitation are linked to zina, because People, by the way, they didn't have isti'dhan before Islam. That someone would just enter your home and he would announce out loud, قَدْ دَخَلْت, I have entered. And as one of the companions, he said, someone just stepped in his doorway and he said, أَأَدْخُلْ. So he's standing in the doorway. He said, أَأَدْخُلْ. He said, أَمَّا بِعَيْنِكَ فَقَدْ دَخَلْت. As with your eyes, you have entered. وَأَمَّا بِإِسْتِكَ. As with your rear end, you still haven't entered. Because the only thing outside my house is your rear end, your posterior. But everything else is inside the house. That's not how you ask for permission. Or, and Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, just had a stick or something he was like scratching his head with in his own home. And you could feel when someone is staring at you, right? I don't know why that is like, I don't know who can, is there any study? But when someone is staring at you, you feel something burning like the side of your head. You turn around. You know, I used to live in a country where people stare like crazy. Like you'd be sitting in the car and you feel like something is burning the side of your face. You turn and there's a guy on you like this. And then we were kids. So it would like, we'd stare back. Usually when you stare back at someone, they look away, they pay attention to what they're doing. And they would just keep staring right at you. And we'd do this. And they would do this.
I was like, I got you on camera.
Just keep staring. This is before camera. This is way back. Come on. This is when I was young. But the point is that those are like the etiquettes that we start to cover then in the class. And then we get to obviously the verse of Nur.
Allah.
And the verse of Nur, you can really understand it when you get to the verse of darkness. And it's really, really powerful the way it's described. And then it deals with the hypocrites because they actually started the accusation against Aisha. And one of the beneficial things there is that it describes how the hypocrites, if they're called to Allah and His Messenger, so that He, here meaning the Messenger, will judge between them. You know how some people, so what is it in the Quran? Look what Allah is saying here.
Only God can judge me.
Huh? Yeah, absolutely right. So the hypocrites are called to the judgment of the Prophet ﷺ, they will not come. But then if they're going to win and they have the right, they will come rushing to the Prophet ﷺ. And how many Muslims behave the same way when they know, like one of the shuyukh was telling me, he was dealing with a divorce case and the wife is trying to get over $500,000 from her husband. And she was telling him, it's my right. And he was telling her, you don't have the right really to take this man's money like that. You don't.
It's my right. No, it's not. Sorry.
He's like, no, it's not. Like, what? This guy's been working hard and spending on you for years. What makes you think you can just take half his wealth? But in Islam, you're just robbing this guy. And then you know what she says to the chef? She's like, you're just old school. Yeah, like I should, or you know, many times in the masjid. This is not in Houston, Texas, where I'm in. So there's nobody think that this is another city where I used to live. And this guy, he did something wrong. You know, wasn't that level of seriousness. But his wife got upset. All her friends were like, they had joint accounts. Take him for every cent he's got. All her friends, take him for every cent he's got. He said she emptied out all my bank accounts and everything. Like, you don't have the right to do that. You are stealing from this individual. You're a thief, you know. But her friends think, yeah, he did this to you. Take his money. You're a thief. Yeah, imagine a stranger did something bad to me. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna rob his house tonight. We're gonna do a B and E. We're gonna come and rob him at night because how could he do that to me? No, you can't. They don't have the right to take someone's money because of what they did to you. But I mean, these are the things.
It takes a lot of that same thing that we talked about. It takes that will to resist your primal urge for revenge or to lash out at someone or to transgress against them. It takes a lot of integrity, and that is what that resisting the material impulse is the same as resisting the the urge to commit these types of zina and this type of stuff as well. You can so that's a comparison. There's a munasabah there. You can take that one for free, inshallah. For the course. It's already been recorded, probably. But we did a campaign about this last year across the UK, and we're thinking this year we expand it a bit to the US and other countries in Europe. It's called In Their Shoes. It's a campaign to stop or to raise awareness and make toxic the practice of using children as kind of weapons in divorce or custody cases and stuff. It happens from men and women. It's like it happens on both sides. But its underlying thing is this, that this is actually taking people very close to serious kind of sin and kufr, even if they refusing to have go to what Allah has given us when it comes to the due process of dealing with these things, and instead just being motivated by your own desire for revenge, or getting one about your ex-wife or ex-husband and stuff, and it's about putting yourselves in the children's shoes. So that's where the name comes from, in their shoes. Assalamu alaikum, guys. Last one, I promise. Just a reminder, if you do like this podcast, give it a like, give it a share, let us know in the comments below. I think it'll really help with the algorithms and stuff. Assalamu alaikum.
I'm telling you, man, there's this, it's actually, that's actually excellent. I have a great title for a book on divorce. I don't have the time, I'm not going to write it, but I imagine that if I wrote it, the title would be How to Get a Divorce Like a Normal Person. You're really using children as a weapon. There's this sheikh, a lot of your audience will probably not be familiar with, because he's in Egyptian, he's in Arabic, he's hilarious, and he's so funny. And you got these isolated clips from him, people are just passing around on WhatsApp and whatever. So one time this lady calls him up, he's got a live show on TV, and she said, "Yeah, Sheikh, I'm divorced from my husband. Can I use the child as a weapon against him?" And he just very quickly and seriously looks at the camera, he says, "If you do that, you will enter the hellfire and you will sit on the lap of Abu Jahl." So get a divorce like a normal person. Don't ruin. You know what? We had this neighbor in Virginia, and she was divorced. She had 2 sons or 3 sons, and she was a very wise woman. Even though she was not a student of knowledge or actually even a hijabi, she was very wise and Muslimah, and she would say. She would tell us, as much as their father did things to me, I always praise him in front of the kids. I always make sure that he is big in their eyes. She put aside what he did to her, and she's always speaking wonderfully about the father, so that the kids see. So some
it's 50%. It's 50% them. People don't realize
absolutely,
this.
Absolutely.
Attacking your spouse is attacking half of them.
Yeah. I know one couple, they had the parents had a fight, and when the father came home, all the kids refused to give him salam, or they all just looked at him and said rude things to him. How dare you bring the children in this? And by the way, the course is called confidential because you're supposed to keep it to yourself. You're supposed to, even if you actually witness people committing zina, you're not supposed to tell people. You're not supposed to embarrass them. You're not supposed to destroy their reputation. Whereas this one, that couple where I was telling you, take him for every cent he's got. So she told all her friends about what he did. Guess what all her friends did? At dinner, they told their husbands in front of their kids. So then this whole school, the kids go to school and they tell everyone else. So how do you think her children, she has 2 children, and they're grown, not grown, but they're old enough to understand something's wrong. And everyone in school is telling them what their father did. Because you embarrassed it, and then they got back together, by the way. So now what? Now the family's back together, but the whole city, and including the children and your children, know what happened. You should have kept it to yourself. That doesn't mean a woman can't reach out for help, but your best friends, that's not reaching out for help. When you tell her and she tells her and you tell her, but these are like the kinds of things that are lost in society, and we cover them in detail in the class. Which, by the way, you can go to AlMaghrib online and register for this class. And
some Trinity viewers will get a special free entry to. I'm just kidding.
Allahu Akbar. Free entry with a simple donation of £100. Do you guys say quit?
Yep.
Why do you say that?
Because that's just our tradition. We've been through this before, right? You Americans are not a people of tradition, and giving haiba to your English roots instead of just all this tahrif of the language. Let's not open that can of worms.
Improvement.
The first one.
Let's just move on.
Yeah. When are you next? You know they're doing another. I was just looking at some of our pictures and stuff from the family retreat. They're going to do another one soon, inshallah.
Is it Morocco or Turkey this time?
I think Turkey.
Really?
I think they're doing one in a
Same place?
ski resort.
Ski resort?
New place, yeah.
I'm out.
Check this one.
I'm out.
Black people don't ski.
We don't ski. I'm out.
That's okay. So you can we can chill in the what's that thing called that you just go around that little buggy, the little buggy that takes people up and down the mountain.
Yeah. Some people call it telefreak, some people call it gondola or something.
No idea. Remember this?
Oh my God, what are you doing, man? Horrible. Oh man, look at this horrible picture. What am I eating? Where is it? This is that
Salad.
resort, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, I was skinny then. I was very skinny.
Where's your picture gone? Wait.
Oh, me? My picture?
There you are. All right.
Man,
the editors are going to be like really annoyed that I'm messing up the screen recording, but we got to do some.
You're gonna start another scandal, man. You see, there's no fork, so the food is floating. And clearly, I'm using magic again.
No way, really.
I love how I hid the meat behind all the
Remember
greens. This was when we were filming in the pool.
And you're contemplating your life choices.
The right man.
I remember.
Did you guys see? Look at that martini glass. I'm so upset about that.
I remember we broke you that day. We made you go against everything you believed in.
Yeah.
But it was worth it.
Do a rant on the rant series, you know?
What about this?
Oh,
is that a raw nerve there?
Species.
Hey, let's do a Sheikh Kamal El Mekki reacts video.
Really?
We'll put your thing in the corner of the screen and show your reaction.
I swear, you know something? That's another thing I hate, reaction videos. Now you're making me do something I don't want to get. Reaction videos are so, what's the word? Like so eager to, like, I'm so great. Just watch me.
Watch TV.
Okay, yalla.
But this is relevant because this is showing you getting schooled when it comes to basketball. Oh, when you challenged me, I remember what is it you said? You said, "Of course I'm going to win. I'm black." Yeah.
I said that.
Yeah, something like that. You're like, we're naturally good at ball.
So wait a minute. You're showing us the one out of the four. The one.
No. This is the only one. Can you hear that? It was a bit loud. Oh, look at that! Look at him go! Oof.
Short hair happening.
Nope.
Am I in this though? I know you're beating me.
Let's forward this. A bit long. This goes on for a while. Like because when you keep winning, you keep going
but
to
there's
the
some
top.
important information.
Oh, this is stage one.
Let everyone know that's me,
Yeah.
huh?
I think this is.
Okay, but you come on.
Oh, this is me.
Tell everyone the importance of information.
Oh no, it was just me. Where's your one?
How many times? That whole thing, that whole trip, you spent half of it
That's
practicing
true.
on that thing. True or
That's
false?
true. But that's like saying, hey, Michael Jordan's good at basketball because he practiced so much. So
That's
fair enough.
exactly like saying that.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
That was my score, and I think yours was like 50 or something, if I remember correctly. It was on somebody else's phone. I can't remember. I can't see the.
Oh man!
Oh, remember this glass?
Oh, that was making me so mad. I'm telling you, I have issues with. Look, why do we have to pretend that I'm getting boozed up to be living the life? That's what I'm saying. You know when that horrendously disgusting movie came out, that 50 Shades of whatever, right?
I don't know
Every
what you're
other
talking
lecture, huh?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, good. That's exactly what I want to hear. Every other lecture, I had a friend, every lecture of his, 50 Shades of Toba, 50 Shades of Taqwa, why do we have to name lectures after this filth?
Yeah.
You know, this is it.
Is this your one?
See, I just want the audience to realize how all these are just one angle, one. You don't have a video of us playing together and you're actually beating me. So as far as I'm concerned, it never happened.
You, me beating you, or you beating me?
You beating me. You don't have a single video. It's just videos of you by yourself.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And they have
There's
to
been
take
a
your
bit
word
of
for it
technical
that I'm losing on the
difficulties.
other side.
I think Mahmoud was recording those ones.
Yes. So just keep
that
those
makes
videos
sense.
of Mahmoud. How's Mahmoud doing, by the way?
Alhamdulillah, he's well. We're
MashaAllah.
missing you guys, man.
Yeah.
We need to organize a link up soon, inshallah. When are
I'll
you
tell
next
you, man.
out of the USA?
Huh?
In a good country that we can go and visit you in.
Allah, I don't know. Let me tell you something. I said this on one of my shows on Facebook. I was saying that
Are you talking about us?
just
Oh, mashallah.
yeah, I'm talking about the UK. Yeah, there's just like the UK is just. I mean, I'm being very just a miserable, tight gray place. You know, just a tight gray place. But I'll tell you something. There's one reason I would move to the UK, and I really would actually pack up and move. No.
I'm really honored. I think that's enough time we've got. That's
No.
all the time we have.
If I could guarantee to be close to Sheikh Haytham and Haddad,
Allahu Akbar.
I would move anywhere in the world except France for Sheikh Haytham. Like I would literally move anywhere in the world except France just to be near Sheikh Haytham. Like I said, if Sheikh Haytham moved to France and called me, he's like, hey, there's a, you can move with this. I'll be like, Chef, what, you're breaking up? Hello, Chef? Yeah.
Hello.
That's it. But otherwise, honestly, what you guys have, but Allah is merciful, right? It's like when someone is deaf, but he's very strong. So in Sudan, we say Allah takes one thing from you and gives you another, right?
Yeah.
You guys in the UK have nothing. It's a disastrous place. But wallah, you guys have good brotherhood. You have great company. I love being around the company of brothers from the UK. It's just amazing. You guys have that, okay? And maybe some food also, some basic food. But beyond that, you guys have nothing. But I would trade it all for that brotherhood you guys have and this being around Atham, and it's just beautiful. It's really, really nice.
Yeah.
So,
and I can honestly say that out of all of the AlMaghrib guys and the normal American people, I think you're the only one who we can actually sit and have a proper beer together with, halal beers, a few beers together with, because your manhaj is closer to the manhaj of the brothers in the UK, the manhaj of just jokes and bants.
Okay. And by the way, the other thing
must be the barakah and the tarbiyah of the Sudan experience that links you with Sheikh Haytham as well.
And the other thing, you guys, I don't like praising British people, but I swear you guys are witty, man. You guys have good puns, and they come quickly. Here we really have dumb puns here. So you guys are good. Your company is great. I'm telling you, that's the one thing you guys have going. So just ride that wave. That's all you have. Just ride it.
We will, inshallah. I'm conscious of the time. We need to link up soon, inshallah. Which country are you not banned from?
I'm banned from 2, but one of them, as a result of being banned from there, I'm banned from 5 others because it's some part of some horrendous European coalition thing. Yeah. So I'm banned from 5 automatically because of being banned from 1, and so total now I think there's 7.
Let's do a trip and somewhere we can meet. I know I said this to you last time, but we're gonna work to try and get you unbanned from here, inshallah, because it's completely ridiculous. Someone like yourself, the only funny American, is banned from the UK. It's some kind of conspiracy. But soon, inshallah, in the family events when they do something next. Absolutely, we'll catch you online in the course.
Have the dates been set?
Adil's just kind of I think finalizing them now. There's going to be one in the UK in December and one in 2022 in Turkey in a ski resort or something. You heard it here first, guys. Don't tell anyone. I might get in trouble.
Okay. Send me the Turkey dates as soon as you know them, because this time the plan is to bring the entire family. Absolutely.
Mashallah.
So I got to start.
So we're not going to see you then.
Let me know as soon as possible so I can clean my car up and start Ubering. Start doing Ubers so I can save money. Start a campaign.
Buy some skis.
Huh?
Buy some skis.
Buy some skis, take skiing lessons, you know.
Yeah. Inshallah. Okay, so we'll let you go, inshallah. Brothers and sisters, Jazakumullah khairan to the Sheikh for joining us, and Jazakumullah khairan for you tuning in at home. Remember, if you like this podcast, give a like and a share. Let us know in the comments. How do you think? If you agreed or disagreed with anything. If you like it, give it a like. If you dislike it, then press the dislike thumb downs button twice. There you go. See what I did there. And check out Sheikh Kamal El Mekki's course. Check out Sheikh Kamal El Mekki's course. Just a reminder, Sheikh, how do they check it out? Where do they go?
They go to AlMaghrib online and they click on confidential. Next to it, they'll see a picture of like a thumbnail of a handsome man. That would be me. And then
even he couldn't say with a straight face.
Then register for the class, inshallah. And I know everyone like sells the class. I teach 5 different courses for AlMaghrib. I really do believe this one and the Da'wah one are the most important if you're living in the West. And I not just selling the class. It's a must, basically.
It's your magnum opus. It's your special
yes, sir.
Baby, inshallah. Yeah.
Yes, thank you for translating that. Oh, he's an American. He wouldn't understand that.
And a Google Burger to you as well. Jazakallah khair, Sheikh, and Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Unscripted.